Alright, in this video I'll show you how to solve two-step equations where the answer, some parts of the answer or the question, do not involve whole numbers, so non-integers. The rules are still the same. We still want to have the polynomial to be by itself, either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. We still want to find the inverse, the opposite, of the number you want to remove. And we still have to perform that calculation on both sides. And because they are two-step equations, we still need to make sure we move plus or minus first, and then times divided by last. Alright, so the rules are still the same. But let's have a look at some of those questions. Alright, so for the first one, so this one over here, 3x plus 5 equals 9.5. Remember the rules were, let's move plus or minus first. So that means, in this case, the plus 5. How do we move it? What's the opposite of plus 5? Well, that would be minus 5. Remember, we're doing minus 5 not just to one side, but to both sides. Alright, so what's plus 5 minus 5? That cancels out. And we're left with what on the left hand side? Well, we're left with just 3x, because that's all we've got left. And then what's 9.5 minus 5? Well, that's 4.5. And now, well, we go to that times, remove the times next. And that was 3 times x, right? Because times between the 3 and the x. So we move to the opposite, we divide both sides by 3. And that cancels out. Now the only difference to what we've done in the past is, well, look at your answer. It's not going to be a whole number. So x equals, well, what's 4.5 divided by 3? Well, 3 fits into 4.5 1.5 times. So x in this case is 1.5. So that's the only difference. Your answer is a non-integer. It's not a whole number. Let's have a look at the next one. The idea is still the same. We want to have y be by itself. At the moment, we've got a few things on that side we want to move. Let's start with plus or minus first, because that's what the rule says. What's the opposite of minus 3? Well, that would be plus 3. Remember, we do it to both sides. That's also what the rules say. Minus 3 plus 3, that cancels out. Now we're left with, in this case, 4y on the left hand side. And what's 3 plus 3? That would be 6 on the right hand side. Now remember, there's a times between the 4 and the y, so how do we remove the times? We do the opposite, we do divided by. So we divide both sides by 4. And we're left with, well, 4 divided by 4 crosses out. We're left with just y on the left hand side. And what's 6 divided by 4? Well, again, how many times does 4 fit into 6? 1.5 times. So your answer again is the same as beforehand. It's a not a whole number, it's 1.5. And in this case, y equals 1.5. Alright, let's have a look at some other examples, in this case with division. So we have x over 4 over here, so this is this one over here. X over 4 plus 2.5 equals 5. Remember, the idea is we want to get x to be by itself. At the moment, it isn't. Alright, and then to make that happen, we move things from one side to the next. In this case, we start with the plus 2.5. Remember, opposite of plus 2.5, well, that would be minus 2.5. And we'll do it not just to one side, but to both sides. Well, what's plus 2.5 minus 2.5? That cancels out, that's 0. What we've left on the left hand side, so that's x over 4. And what we've left on the right hand side, 5 minus 2.5 is 2.5. Right, so far so good. Now let's see if we can move that times 4. Remember, if it's divide by 4. If it's divide by 4, we do the opposite, which in this case would be times. So we'll times both sides by that same number, by 4. Times this by 4. Times the right hand side by 4. Alright, so 4 over 4, that cancels out. That's just 1. And then we're left with x equals, well, what's 2.5 times 4? That's 10. And then in this case, this is the answer. So your answer in this case is a integer, whole number, but part of the question, so this part over here, was dealing with non-integers. Right, so you can be given either type of question. Right, let's have a look at the last one. So x over 8 minus 0.5 equals 1. Remember, we want to get the x to be by itself. And let's move the plus and minus first. So in this case, we've got a minus 0.5, so we'll do plus 0.5 to both sides. Well, what is minus 0.5 plus 0.5? Think about your number line, that would cross out. That's 0. And then what have we been left on the left hand side? Well, we're left just with x over 8. And on the right hand side, well, what's 1 plus 0.5? That's 1.5. Alright, so far so good. Let's get rid of that divided by 8. How do you get rid of divided by 8? By doing the opposite, by doing times 8 to both sides. Right, because 8 divided by 8 is just 1, so this crosses out. And then we're left with x equals, what's 1.5 times 8? That would be 12, and then this is the answer. Alright, so again, we have our actual answer is a whole number, an integer, but part of the question was a non-integer. Alright, so you have to be comfortable with those kind of questions as well. But the rules are the same as what we've just done beforehand. Right? No different. Just be prepared that you might not be given whole numbers the whole time.